So let me ask you something. Your company spent real money on content marketing this year, real time, real people, real budget, real resources. And when somebody asked you, probably the CMO, the CFO, the CEO, whoever it was, they said, is it working? And what do we always say? Well, traffic's up, engagement's solid, the newsletter open rate is good. And here's the thing, none of that actually answers the question. And deep down, we know it. So why are we still in 2026 measuring the wrong things? So welcome back. I'm Robert Rose. If you've been riding along for this whole series this month on measuring content marketing in the AI age, thank you, genuinely. You're a very specific kind of person, a little nerdy, let's be honest, but I mean that as a compliment. I really do. So quick orientation. So over the last few episodes, what I've done is introduce this idea that I call the Audience Trust Index, the Trust Lattice framework, and a way to actually score the relational health of your content marketing program. It's new. It's untested really in the wild. I'm trying it out. It's something that I think is a good idea, but time will tell. Big ideas, lots of frameworks, a truly unreasonable number of metaphors involving weather. But today, for this series finale, what I wanted to do was go back to the foundation. Because here's what I keep running into in 2026. The measurement conversations that are failing aren't failing because people don't have the right AI-powered analytics tool, the right dashboard, as it were. They're failing for the same reason that they failed in 2016 and 2006 and 1996 and 1986. Nobody in the room agrees on what they're actually trying to measure. So before we talk about any tool, any framework, any AI-generated insight, what we need to talk about is how do we design a measurement framework that actually makes business sense? So let's do that. So here's the good news about measurement in 2026. AI-powered tools, all of the different kinds of tools, can do both quantitative math and qualitative pattern recognition faster than any human ever could. And that's been very helpful for us. We are swimming in data, drowning in it, honestly. The dashboard is going to tell us everything that happened before morning coffee gets cold. But here's the bad news. None of those tools are going to tell us what any of that means for our business. They can tell you exactly what happened, what transaction occurred, what happened, but only you and your colleagues can judge if any of that matters. And here's the secret, the one that hasn't changed despite literally everything else changing over the last 3 decades. If you want meaningful content marketing measurement, you have to measure things differently from how you'd measure traditional performance marketing. If you don't, you're going to end up proving that content is a mediocre demand generation channel. Just kind of meh. That's a little like evaluating a symphony orchestra on how fast they can play Mozart's Symphony No. 41. Yeah, that's a geeky, obscure reference. Look it up. I'll wait. So the point is, the instrument matters. The technique matters. And what you're trying to produce, an audience that trusts you so much that they choose you when they're finally ready to buy, that is not a metric you're going to find in Google Analytics. All right, let's start at bedrock. What is the most fundamental measurement of marketing's value to a business? Well, it's one thing that has not changed since 1986, and I got into marketing to begin with. How efficiently does marketing shorten the time between a product being available and a customer buying it? That's it. That's marketing, full stop. How many buyers do we reach? What percentage move to the next stage of their buying journey? Any improvement in any of those metrics for the same budget and effort means basically you're spending more efficiently. Now, in growth companies, like startups and early stage brands, well, you might be in growth mode, so you want more customers. So profitability, it doesn't matter so much. In mature companies, legacy brands, established players, you want higher conversion rates, more profitability, that the engine is running efficiently. And business leaders, well, being business leaders, of course, and not being marketers typically, what do they want? They want both. They want both effectiveness and efficiency. Welcome to marketing. But now here's the thing. Content marketing measurement is different, fundamentally different. The objective isn't to shorten the buyer's journey for people who are already buying. The objective is to develop a deeper relationship with broader groups of people, more than just immediate buyers. So this is actually slowing things down. Think of it a little bit like the slow is smooth principle in swimming, right? Sometimes intentionally slowing down the process to get to technique, to get to the right technique, making sure a visitor becomes genuinely educated, produces a better buyer on the other end, and that becomes the value of your content marketing. You're playing a long game. And in the long game is not measured by clicks or numbers of downloads. This distinction has become a lot more important, not less important in the age of AI, because it is now trivially easy to produce content at scale and measure every transactional output. Impressions, clicks, conversions, scroll depth, time on page, AI dashboards, they can serve all that stuff up before breakfast. But all of that is classic performance marketing measurement applied to content marketing. It answers, how efficiently are we generating demand? It does not answer and cannot answer the question that actually matters in content marketing. Are we building the kind of trusted relationship that makes someone choose us when they're finally ready to buy or when they're considering leaving or staying loyal to our brand? Do you see, the irony is that as AI makes content cheaper and faster to produce, the relationship becomes the only defensible source of value. And relationships are not measured in click-through rates. That brings me to the most important thing, right, that most measurement programs really just miss entirely. Shared objectives. Shared objectives without analytics are visions without direction. Analytics without shared objectives, that's like a map with no agreement on where you're going. I'll make it concrete. So I was recently talking to a marketing manager whose team's quarterly goal was 30% increase in web traffic. And I said, why? Why is that? And he said, well, and I'm not making this up, he said, well, because more traffic equals better marketing. And that's not even close to being necessarily true. If your actual objective is more high-quality leads, more traffic might actually be the worst thing to focus on. You could attract a flood of visitors who will never buy a single thing, dilute your conversion metrics, and then spend the next quarter explaining to leadership why all that success didn't produce any revenue. Ask me how I know about that. I've lived it. So here's the uncomfortable organizational reality that we all have to face. Marketing leaders today set goals for their teams. Sales leaders set goals for theirs. Executives set objectives for the company. And in most organizations, those three things, executives, sales leaders, marketing leaders, none of those groups have actually communicated with each other about whether any of it lines up meaningfully. As a marketing VP once told me, and she was exactly right when she told me this, sales is measured on the value of opportunities that turn into customers. Marketing is measured by the number of leads created, and content marketing is measured by traffic to the blog. That all sounds like a match. It is not. Those three metrics can all be going up and to the right while the business goes completely sideways. Everybody rowing hard, nobody rowing in the same direction. All right, so how do we fix that? We start with shared objectives, and then you design a measurement around them using a 4-step OKR approach. And I love OKRs. OKRs, objectives and key results, well-worn, books written on that. They're a great architecture that makes measurement matter. Step 1, set an objective. Clearly express how content marketing is going to contribute to the shared business goal and how long it will take. A quarter, a year, 3 years. And here's a tip, by the way. Don't shy away from long-term objectives because you're afraid the marketing might shift. You're not predicting the future with false precision. What you're doing is you're boxing an objective into a time frame so that you know how quickly you need to adapt and move toward that or kill the very thing that you're not getting any progress on. It's a very different thing. Step 2, define success with your key results. Decide which metrics will unambiguously define success, and don't be afraid to use non-numerical results. Key results can be like develop a capability or learn a skill. These things can be graded, A, B, C, D, F. They can be graded there. The frame is simple. We will accomplish this objective as measured by these key results. That becomes a template that you can actually look at. The objective is change. The key results define progress toward that change. And one critical distinction here, OKRs are not KPIs. Key results define the desired change. KPIs, key performance indicators, are exactly that. They indicate performance or progress toward that change. Confuse those two and you'll end up optimizing for the scoreboard instead of the ultimate objective of the game. Step 3, design your KPI metrics, the next level down. Your key results will almost always combine into multiple measurements. Here's what I mean by that. So, for example, you might have a strategic objective, drive 25% increase in net new sales over the next year. Your content marketing objective in that might be prompt maybe 10% of all net new sales opportunities in the next year. The key results: increase new high quality leads with content by 15%, increase conversion of free trials by 25%, decrease cost per thousand ad rate by 20%. Do you see how we've worked profitability into that? Now you've got something that connects content activity to the business outcome. That's the critical key. Step 4, design your analytics. This is where the transactional metrics finally start to show up. And notice, by the way, we're on step 4 of this pyramid. Web analytics, conversions, SEO performance, downloads, time on site. Those are not objectives. Those are not key results. Those are the base of the pyramid, the detailed signals that feed your KPIs, because they're like the weather. They actually control and look at what it is, the temperature of your progress, and assess whether your key results are on track. You can think of it like this pyramid. Top block, the objective. Below that, your key results. Below that, your KPIs, and the base, all of your metrics. If you design this correctly, you measure only the things in the pyramid that matter to the objective. Everything else is extraneous. So in 2026, there is more noise available to you than at any other point in the entire history of marketing. The discipline is not what you choose to measure, but what you don't choose to measure. So we started this episode with a simple question. Somebody asks, is it working? And you reach for traffic numbers, open rates, click-through percentages, and somehow none of it actually answers the question. Here's why that happens. We defaulted to measuring what was easy to count instead of designing a system around what we were actually trying to accomplish. The tools have never been smarter. AI can surface patterns, aggregate signals, generate dashboards at a scale that no team analysts ever could. But none of that helps if you haven't done the harder thing first, getting everybody in the room to agree on what you're actually trying to do and what done and what good looks like when you get there. If the game is won, everybody should know why. If it's lost, you should know where the breakdown happened. Not because a dashboard told you, but because you designed a system that connects every number to a reason that it matters. I'll admit it. Measurement is nobody's favorite part of this job, right? We got into content marketing because we like ideas and stories and making things that connect with people, not because we dreamed of afternoons and spreadsheets. But here's the thing. In a world where AI is making it disturbingly easy to produce content that looks productive but isn't, the ability to answer, what does this actually do for us, clearly and credibly, that's the difference between being seen as a strategic function and being seen as a cost center with a blog. So somebody once said, create a life so good, you don't need a vacation to escape from it. I'll echo that for measurement. Build an analytics strategy that's so good, you don't have to do any math to defend it. The full framework, by the way, the 4-step OKR model, the measurement period, all of it is in the article linked in the post. And next week, we start a new series because after all this measuring, it's time to start talking about what the AI actually means for our marketing careers. We'll talk about our career and marketing survey that we just finished starting next week. Remember, it's your measurement story. Tell it well. I'll see you next week.